let's talk about whipped bath butters. Okay, there's many different ways that you can do this. I've seen people do this from scratch. I've done it a few different ways myself, making it like an emulsified butter type of texture. I've even done regular butters that are anhydrous with some like foaming powders to give it that foaming effect. But this time I'm going to do something really simple, special, and different, you guys. It's going to be very similar almost to my honey glaze formula. Okay, we're going to be doing the Lucky Charms today. So this is a Lucky Charms, and I called it, sometimes I call it whipped bath butter, sometimes I call it whipped clean. Just, you know, instead of whipped cream, whipped clean. And I love it because you make it just like you do an anhydrous butter, and it actually washes off super simple and turns into like a milky formula. You can make it froth a little more. We'll talk about the ingredients and how you can do that if you want to. But this formula is super simple. You're going to make it just like you would an anhydrous body butter. We're going to get into how to do that as well. And this is going to be something that's super unique that you're going to have and try out for yourself. So let's go ahead and get right into the start of the business. Listen to my disclaimers and let's get to making this, babe. Before we jump in, for all my new followers, even some of my old ones, if you want to just kind of pay attention real quick to listen to what I have to say, I'm going to run you through a little bit of my disclaimers just so that we're starting here with transparency and I can tell you guys a little bit more about what you can expect from me, okay? If you want to skip past this video and just get right to the formulating, check the chapters down below. You can go ahead and do that and just move right along to the parts that you feel are most beneficial to you. So as a disclaimer, I am not a certified chemist. I'm more of a, what I like to call myself as a professional or slash business DIYer. I started off making things myself. I'm self-taught. I've been doing this probably since about 2015. I started with a simple flaxseed gel, and then from there I evolved into butters and scrubs and doing all that fun stuff. I had a successful run in my business selling physical products, but then I just decided for several reasons that having a physical business wasn't really for me when it comes to skincare. But I got a lot of people asking me how to make my products, so I decided to come here and share this information with you. So with that being said, here's what you can expect with my formulas. My formulas are very simple. I specialize in making simple formulas that almost anybody can create with like a handful of ingredients. I really don't deviate from the stuff I'm comfortable with because I want to make sure I'm within my expertise. And also my focus when it comes to ingredients are more so going to be on like sourceability and expenses. You know, I don't want to get too expensive with it. Sometimes you will have success with my formulas, even the most super simple ones, and the same thing, sometimes you won't. I'm not trying to sell anything that I haven't personally had success with. There's many factors to formulation, which is why I'm always going to tell you, do your own testing. Okay. I do mine. You make sure to do yours, especially if you're going to be selling them. There's different factors that go into formulas. It's like the same thing with baking a cookie, right? Me and my daughter's a baker. I'm not. She can make any cookie formula perfect. Me, I can read it straight off the box and still mess up with it. Ironically, I'm great with skincare, not so great with baking. Even if I follow a video, sometimes it doesn't always come out that way. So I just want to give you guys that realistic expectation. When it comes to skincare, even with the best formulas out there from some of the best formulators, you are going to have your own learning curve. Okay, and this is what makes an experienced great formulator. You can't have people to lead you as accurately as possible, but it's something you gotta just kind of grab by the horns on your own. So I just wanted to give you guys that expectation. Everything should go smoothly. It's pretty simple, but don't beat yourself up so much if you don't have success with it. Sometimes you just need a little bit of tweaking, and you guys can always ask me questions about that in the comments. I get to them and read them as soon as I can, okay? So here I'm going to do a little bit of texture play for you guys while I describe the benefits. So much like the honey cleanser that I made, that's anhydrous, it is a nice cleanser. It kind of goes from milk to from oil to milk, and then it gets more frothy if you use a loofah. You do have to use some water to activate all those foam and lather, but it's a nice gentle clean that definitely cleanses the skin, but doesn't leave it feeling too dry or too harsh. It's really fun and easy to use for kids, and this is essentially the final texture of what it's. So I get asked a lot of questions on how do you use certain products. I wanted to give you guys a quick demo just so you can see exactly how I would direct you to use it, and then kind of if you want to, go along, make up your own ways to use it differently, get creative with your videos, you guys are more than welcome, okay? But this is just a simple, how do you use it? All right, so it's a butter. You can just put it directly on your skin and rub it in. It'd make a great shaving cream, by the way. But I'm just gonna open it. You just dig your fingers. You can get more or less on your hands. And then I have my trusty sponge that you guys love so much, my toe sponge. And then you just smear it on, okay? And you can do this with a loofah. It doesn't have to be with a, it doesn't have to be with any special type of sponge. But it's already starting to foam. As you guys can see that, you want to make sure it's a little bit wet so it activates that lather. And I'm showing you guys in real time, okay, what the lather looks like. And don't worry about the color too. The color will wash right down the drain. It doesn't stain. I got my percentages correct with that one. And just so you guys can kind of see the type of rich, creamy lather you get here, okay? And then you just rub it all over your body. It is a rinse off product. So keep that in mind when you're picking ingredients that you want to use. It creates a great layer here. So I'm just going to scratch it with my nail a little bit, just like as I would a razor. I don't know how well you guys can see, but basically it makes a great coat for shaving. And you can just keep rubbing along. A little bit goes a long way, but you guys can use as much as possible. As you can see, if I want to lather my whole arm, I can, and it's just that simple. You just apply it and then you just rub it on your body and use it as such. So it's pretty simple, but I will say, okay, now I am not in a room. This does not have a preservative. You can always add a preservative to, make sure that no water or mold gets into it. For me, what I would do with this kind of butter, if you do not have a preservative, is do not store it in the bathroom. Store it in a dry place. You're going to take a little bit out, and I like to put it into like a mini bowl. Like even sometimes, you know how they have the little condiment bowls, the mini ones. And then I take that and then I leave the actual whole thing out in my room or somewhere where it's dry, and I take that little amount that's in a bowl in there. Just for you guys that want to try stuff that's preservative free, or you want to try this for the first time, you're a newbie and you're not ready to incorporate preservatives yet, this is a simple way to make sure that no mold gets into the product. But I will make a disclaimer, if you're selling, that is something that people are going to be very concerned about, is if you use preservatives or not. So just keep that in mind. Whatever you want to use this for, you can incorporate preservative. This is a personal use product that I'm not selling, so I don't add a preservative, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a rundown on how to use it so you can have success with the product and not run into any technical difficulties. Our first hero ingredient here is Lumorol K5229. It's the hero ingredient because it's our surfactant that allows us to get the nice bubble and foam in our product in an anhydrous formula. This is refined cocoa butter. So you can switch this out for any other hard butter if you want, but I like refined cocoa because it is deodorized and it's nice and firm. This is important for the finished texture that the butter comes out with. The shea butter in this portion is just as equally as important as the cocoa butter. It's very important for texture. It has some very good emollient values that really give a nice layer of moisture to the skin. Phase A is our heat phase, where you're going to melt down all of our solid oils and butters and wax ingredients so that you can have a nice smooth formula where you can incorporate everything in easier. So the BTMS 50 deserves an honorable mention. It is necessary to emulsify everything and have it for a no mess formula in the tub. After everything is thoroughly melted down, we're going to move into our phase B. Now, it's okay for it to be a little bit cloudy, as you see, as long as everything is smooth. And we're going to be adding in our other ingredients here, but you're not going to be ready to whip until phase C. Okay, so here is the Lumorol K, and I make sure that this is a little bit cooled, but not cooled to where it starts to get harder. As you can see, it's very creamy, and this happens because it cools a little bit and because I melted down hard ingredients instead of melting down the Lumorol K with it. Okay, and see, so now that I added the Lumorol K, it's nice and clear and much more liquidy. I just don't like to incorporate it into the direct heat because I don't want it to lose its values at all. Usually, sometimes you can do that depending on the ingredient. So I just wanted to take an extra precaution here. Also, another honorable mention, this is our SCI powder. You can up this for a much more frothy type of finish when it comes to your formula, okay? Or you can use SCI powder. I used SLSA in case I said it vice versa. And I'm just going to stir it into this phase. You can also add it in phase C, but my thing is that even mixing it in this phase, you have to be very careful because getting it into the air and aspirating it is not pleasant. So you're going to want to make sure that you're going to wear a mask or some sort of protectant when it comes to that. And it's okay if it's clumpy in this stage of the formula, because we're going to come along and whip it, and it's going to get everything all cleared up and smooth. Okay. So after you add these ingredients, it's key to set this aside for several hours. I let it set overnight because you really want it to firm up nicely. Your formula will be watery, or liquidy, I should say, and it won't whip nicely unless you have waited several hours. Even when it comes to refrigerating it, you want to be sure that you refrigerate, that even if you refrigerate it, it can speed up the process, but it doesn't necessarily do so all the time. You want to let it get nice and firm at room temperature. That's essential. Okay, so bear with me. Phase 3 is a little long. Here you have the final texture after you let it sit overnight or 24 hours, a long period of time, okay? It should be nice and thick, as you see, and almost like a paste. And this is how it would turn out if you did it in a pourable way. It's not terrible, but people tend to like the whip texture because it's, fun and fluffy. And then what I'm doing is I'm trying to do my best to push it into the middle and scrape it all the way down. You're going to see whenever I'm mixing that sometimes the beaters don't always get to the bottom of the bowl. So I just give it a good little mixing, just, for good measure in the beginning before I get ready to fully start whipping it. And it helps just to move it around and just to be sure that this is the texture. So that's what it looks like prior to whipping, I should say. And once you start whipping it, keep in mind that when you whip things and you add air, you're going to have an increase in volume. Okay, so it's not necessarily going to be about the weight, it's going to be about the size. And so you kind of see where the yellow part is at the bottom, the more denser yellow color, as opposed to the rest of it getting nice and white and kind of fluffy. And you still do have to whip it for, I would say on and off, just until you see the texture that you like. You are only going to get to a certain amount of fluffiness, but you will, it's going to start to increase. It's going to start to get more whipped and more fluffy, and you're going to see more air, making it a little bit taller when you see in this finished result when I pull out the beaters. And so just a way to avoid the yellow stuff on the bottom, I'm going to get to it in a second here, but you just use a spatula like I did, and you just scrape it and push it towards the middle, and you keep doing that until you don't see any more of that yellow bottom anymore. And then so this is the final whipped texture that we have here. It's like a marshmallow fluff and foam, and as you can see, it's going to increase a little bit more because I'm going to whip it a little more. These are the colors that we're working with. Micas that are oil soluble. These are the colors I picked for Lucky Charms. I really like yellow. It's kind of like gives the gold kind of aesthetic a little bit, and these are bright colors, so you're going to see it's just a powder. All micas here are just the powders. I really enjoyed this pink. You really want to get the colors matched specifically what you want. You don't have to use these colors. You can use any of the combination or none of them if you want to. There's a little bit of the green and then this beautiful blue that I'm going to use. And then so what I did to color each one evenly, I tried to anyways, I just used my scooper. I didn't use a specific measuring tool, and you can use what you please. If you want to do it by weight to make it more accurate, I'm all for it. So what I did was I basically did 3 scoops at a time for each color, and also one of the colors is white. I'm putting the mica on top. You can use oil just a little bit to make it mix in better, because as you can see here, it's going to create a mess. I'm going to try to use my mixers to kind of you know, before I turn it on, mix it in a little bit to prevent it from splattering, but mica gets messy and that's just what it does. It splatters all over the place. You can incorporate it in different parts. If you wanted to even incorporate it into the phase B where I added in the Lumorol K and what else did I add? I added, oh, and the other powdered surfactant, you could totally do that too. B, you just have to separate it evenly at that time and know what colors you want and yada yada. So, and for this, I did also measure out how much mica I used in total. You can break it up, or I don't remember specifically what I did, but it depends on how much you're going to separate it into, whether you use more or less. Less is kind of more. And this is where the emulsifier that you choose is going to be important, because the emulsifier is going to ensure that the color doesn't stick or stain to the tub. It washes down easily. And it just doesn't create a mess anywhere. Okay. Because you will see colors, they will kind of bleed a little bit like you saw in the video where I made it, but nothing to where they should be sticking to anything. Even off of the sponge, they washed off pretty cleanly. And so what I'm going to do to create the color pattern that I want is I'm going to put it here in one of these little piping bags. Okay. And you can still use this technique and put it in the piping bags for if you want to do a swirl. I like scooping. I prefer it because honestly, I'm not very good at creating the swirls that everybody makes and the, you know, the little piping tips, the castles of butter. So I'm going to put it in here, and then as I put it in, I'm going to squeeze the top and just put it to the side as I do my next color. And I'm using the same bowl. So what I do is I just take a napkin and I just wipe down the excess just so the colors don't mix. They really don't. It's not a problem as long as you get like 99% of it out. But I just like to wipe it for good measure because I really don't want to mess up my colors. I don't want yellow and pink to mix together and have like a hint of orange in there, because that's what that would make. So I just give it a good wipe down, and see, there's still a little bit of yellow in the beaters, and I go throughout this, I kind of give it a little wipe down, but it doesn't affect the other colors. Because coloring is a pain in the butt, especially when you do it like this on a larger level. There's just no getting around it, guys. It's a pain. I really don't like this as part of the process, and I hate recording it even more. As you can see, I'm kind of off to the side. I'm trying to get it in there. I wish I got a better shot, but I didn't. Colors are coloring things, different colors. One color is cool, but different colors and doing all the swirls and pattern, especially when you have to mass replicate, complete pain in the arse, but it's totally up to you. And then so here's how I get the pattern. Now I'm fast forwarding it because I already showed you guys this in the beginning. All I do is I just take each of the piping and I just lay them down in the bowl like that to get the specific pattern that I want to get whenever I scoop it. And you guys can do any of the patterns, make it swirly, whatever you guys want to do. I found that I like it like this, kind of like a Neapolitan thing. I cover it and put it away. And then this is the final resting texture. You can make it softer by using more Shea or 100% Shea and less of the cocoa. So how easy was it to make that, right? It almost seems too good to be true. So let's run through the ins and outs on how to jar it, store it, and kind of just keep it in its best way for you to use it long term. And its shelf life, I was gonna say. Okay, so with this product, as I touched on a little bit earlier during the nice demo that you guys saw me do, I talked about a little bit about how to use it and a little bit about it not having a preservative. You guys can add a preservative to it, whichever one works best for you. You can incorporate it. You can find out how much to use by sticking to the recipe, but incorporate it into the recipe by the manufacturer's recommended use of rate. Okay, so you should always be able to find this with your manufacturer, meaning the person that you buy it from or the people who make it. And so, like for example, Germall Plus, it usually has between a 0.1 and 0.2 rate of use. You guys can Google them, but I would make sure to look up specifically the one that is for the specific preservative that you buy, just so you have accuracy. Okay, and how you're going to do that is if you want to stick to the formula, here's the thing. Okay, I have my formula written in percentages, but if you guys want to, you can just add it in there. It's not going to mess up the formula in any way, shape, or form, unless it's not water soluble. I apologize for the noise cut out, guys. As you can see here, I have the subtitles on. Luckily, not all of the information that I said about here was lost because it is pretty important. So just read the subtitles for here. My mic doesn't work too well, and I'm trying to record this video, and I have to have two recording devices at once going, and I didn't realize until in a few moments here my mic cut out, so I had to improvise. But yeah, so my mic cut out, so you're not gonna hear this part straight from it because otherwise the sound is really wonky. But yeah, just check the subtitles and you won't miss out on this info. And again, I apologize for that. The sound will cut back on in a minute, so in the meantime, just read to check the information because it is pretty important here. Sorry if the noise cuts out a little bit, guys. I'm trying to do some complicated recording here to get the sound clarity for you, but yeah, so just bear with me. Anyway, so you want to make sure that you're just considering all factors when it comes to picking your type of jar and what you want to use. The storage, remember this doesn't have a preservative, but we pretty much covered it all. So that's how you guys are going to get the most success. Before I let you guys go, I just want to say that I'm super excited about our almost 30,000 member Facebook group. I remember being excited when I had like 500 members because I was just like, wow, you know, that's a lot of people. When you think about things in terms of like a room full of people, it's really cool to think about how many supporters you're having. But I want to let you guys know that even though it's my group, it's a community group into which I am not trying to be the star of the show. I want everybody to shine. It's a platform that we can all use to promote ourselves, to help each other out with tips, and I offer recipes in there sometimes. And I'm a little bit more closely connected to Facebook than I am YouTube. It's just more interactive. I just run the group and that's just how it is. I am trying to get more active on YouTube, but I want to invite you guys to come and join our community and also come over and join us on Patreon. I just hit like 615 members, which I'm super excited about too, because you know, Patreon is a subscription service. So that means people are subscribed and tuned in to me, and it is for Blakely Skincare. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm so grateful for you guys. But I wanted to invite you to come and join the communities, you know, so we can talk more on a personal level, so you guys can just put yourselves out there, grow, learn from some great experienced people besides just me that have business experience, formulating experience, just all different kinds. We even have some degreed biology chemists in there, skincare biologists, skincare chemists. that are in there, specially trained to help you guys out on a one-on-one level, and they have their own Patreons too. So I just wanted to invite you guys to be a part of the community. I would love to see more and more people joining our group and just becoming part of this special space that I've built, especially because we emphasize on a positive community and really promoting each other as a group and individuals and peers, as opposed to just kind of promoting big brands. We promote each other. So with that being said, I'll let you guys go. I hope you guys have so much success with this formula. Tweak it, make it better than I even made it, and then share with me how it goes. Let me know if you have any questions. All the exact formula and the links and everything are always going to be on Patreon, as you know. So I look forward to seeing you guys join. And if not, just thank you for watching the video and especially getting this far. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right.